Good morning, Horizon. Quick, let me ask you, what's the shortest psalm in the Psalter? It's Psalm 117, just 2 verses. But even as I read it, you'll hear themes that are throughout the Old Testament. These themes were easily memorizable. These were ways that the culture at large thought about God. If they were to describe God, these were the kinds of quick terms that they would use. Praise the Lord, all you nations. Extol him, all you peoples. For great is his love towards us, and the faithfulness of the Lord endures forever. Praise the Lord. We have to remember that this culture, the culture in which this was written, was largely an oral culture. Most people didn't read or write. They were illiterate. They did, however, learn to memorize and to hear and repeat back and to think deeply about things that they'd heard. Because it was an oral culture, they had to rely on their memory. They had to think, they had to be able to recall in order to teach their children, in order to sit in the synagogue, right? So here is a theme: the great love of the Father, the faithfulness of God, that we hear echoed over and over again. So phrases like Psalm 34:6. The Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounded in steadfast love and faithfulness. This is how Israel largely comes to describe their God. You might say that, is knowledge of God possible? I would argue yes. Is moral knowledge possible? I would argue yes. Complicated to argue, but I think a way through. And the idea here is, what can we know about God? Well, we have lots of doctrines and lots of systematic theology. We describe God using lots of words. But if you were to boil it down just to a few phrases that you know in your bones, if you had to describe just a couple things about God that you would want your children to really know and believe, what would you say? I think it would probably sound just like them. The Lord's faithful. He's loving. He's gracious. He's slow to anger. That's what I've experienced. That's what I've come to know, and that's what I want you to know. So I love these little quippy sayings because for me, it reflects really how the culture at large thought about God. We don't know much. We're not that sophisticated, but we can tell you that God is faithful, and we can tell you that he's loving, and we can tell you that he's filled with grace, and that he's always faithful. That's my testimony to you, and I bet that's your testimony to others. Grace and peace to you.